Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in North America, and hello to anyone watching on replay. My name is Nancy Hetker, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, Australia. And today I wanted to share with you another version of one of my favorite things, which is a one-sheet wonder. This is a one-sheet wonder template that was shared in a Facebook group for demonstrators globally, and we were told that we could share it with everybody. So I will post this on the blog post that goes with this video. There'll be a link wherever you're watching this video to my blog, which is just nancysniftynotes.com. But I'm going to make this for you this morning. So it is a template for 6x6. Some of our designer series papers come in 6x6 format, and the rest come in 12x12, which clearly you can cut down to 6x6, which is what I have done with a piece of the delightfully eclectic mega pack. I mean, it is huge. Usually we get 2 sheets of 6 front and back designs. This is 4 sheets of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 designs. I mean, it is huge. It is part of the designer series paper sale that is on through the end of this month, which is just a couple days away. So it is really cool to pick up. This one, I'm going to be using this side. I love this side as well. You could do these cards as a mix and match. And before I cut this piece, I am going to show you, I made a different set last night using, this is some of the earthen textures. And these, we're going to cut exactly the same designer series paper, shapes and sizes, but we're going to use a different layout. So I will have these cards on my Nancy's Nifty Notemakers Facebook group. If you're not there, you can go in and find it and ask to join that. So this one makes use of this really cool texture, earthen textures paper. Are they masculine? I don't know. Anybody who's not like into really bright colors, how's that? I just love this. Is that Wanting to Say? Is that the name of the dies? Anyhow, I like being able to make a whole series of cards like that. So that's 4, and we will make a different 4 with the same pieces of DSP, same sizes and shapes, different DSP. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this now. First cut. So I like to cut the ones that go the entire length or width of the paper first. I'm going to do this one. That is 3 inches. And if you are working with A4 cardstock, these cuts and layers work just fine. Work in inches, and then anything that goes full length, make in centimeters to 14.9 centimeters as we usually do for our card bases. So it was one 3x3 inch square, and I kept it intact for this card, but for the one I'm going to make today, I do want to go ahead and cut it in half, but I want it to be on these corners, so I want to cut it this way. If you didn't follow that, you will when we get to that card. Okay, so I'm going to put that with the pieces for that card. And then this one we're going to cut into the 1.5 inch squares. So fortunately, this little mark, that edge there is 1.5, 1.5. Makes it super easy to just cut. That's kind of off screen for you, isn't it? Let's bring that in here. 1.5, 1.5 right there to that edge. There we go. There's those 4. And then we have the remainder half of the paper. And we're cutting 1 inch off this end. Put that with that piece. And then this is now 2 inches wide, the remainder. So we're going to cut it into a series of 3 1 3/4 inch rectangles. 1, 2, 3. And that's, if you can come up with something to do with that, great. Otherwise, it's just rubbish. That goes with that. Okay, so that is our designer series paper cut up into the appropriate pieces. And now I have 3 cards ready to go. I know what I'm doing with these, so I'm going to start with them. I didn't get that. Oh, Siri always has to chime in. So this is the one with the 4 1.5 inch squares that we made. And I'm going to do a gatefold card. And I'm going to start, I believe, with these pieces. So a little bit of glue on each one. How are things going, guys? Jenny, you staying warm up there in Queensland? And I see Michelle has joined me, and Paula and Gladys. I think Michelle, aren't you in Queensland too? Okay, there's one. So if you're working in inches, your layers will be slightly different measurements than mine. Because your cardstock is proportioned differently. That's all good. Okay, I'm going to glue these onto, I've just made a regular gatefold card here. Let's see if I can get this straight and even. There we go. Maybe. There we go. Gladys, I heard about the smoke from the wildfires coming into the Midwest this time instead of the Northeast, or maybe it's in the Midwest now and heading to the Northeast. I don't even know. Yeah, I recognize your pain. We had, the last time there were big wildfires in Victoria, we had a lot of smoke here in Melbourne too. And I'm sure it will happen again. And that's one reason we were not unhappy when our son and his partner were here and they bought and we we paid for. They chose and we paid for an air purifier, a big one that will make a big difference, I think, at just about anywhere we wind up living. So, okay, so there is that piece, and that is going to get attached right across there, but just on this side. So that's a gatefold card, and let's gussy it up a little bit. I'm gonna bring this in. Cut that down to a first layer. And get that on there. So if you are on a quest to use a lot of designer series paper, this makes really efficient use of designer series paper, but you could take another piece of designer series paper and cut some strips to put on the inside there, with or without a fresh freesia layer. So there's one. We may come back and do some embellishments on there, but let's keep going. Here's layout number 2. These are the 2 by 1 3/4 inch rectangles that we made, and I've got some other layers here again. I've got a Night of Navy card base and a garden green layer and a Night of Navy layer, and that's going to go there, and these are going to go across here evenly. I think yeah. So we're going to start with these guys. And I know they'll fit on there. I'm just trying to figure out what the spacing is to get them even. Okay, I think I got it. And you see, I could do it if I probably would have pulled in Midnight Muse instead of the green and done it monochrome. That would have been really cool also. But I'm doing the flower side today. So I find when doing 3s or 4s, if I do the end pieces and get my even margins, then I should be able to get the middle one centered with an even margin. That's my tip. Oh, or I could just have everything slide everywhere. There we go. And then that should fit right in there. Yeah, I like, well, I like all blues. So I like Night of Navy. I like, did I keep calling it Midnight Muse? Man, Misty Moonlight. Misty Moonlight. Before we had Misty Moonlight as an in color, we had Midnight Muse and Dapper Denim. But yeah, Misty Moonlight. Even when it was an in color, I was mixing those two up, and I seem to keep doing it. So, Misty Moonlight. And then this goes right onto this garden green piece. I think it's really fun to pick out the colors from the papers for my layers. Oh, come here. This is a really tight, I could have made this a bit wider, and it would have been a little easier to work with, but there we go. Bring this in. So this sentiment is from Artistically Inked. It is one of my all-time favorite sentiment stamps. Not because it says anything other than happy birthday, but because of the font and the size of it. I just adore it. This is the set it comes from. I've paired it with a lot of things I've been doing in my Earth and Textures Product Playground series of classes. Again, it fits in really well with that, I think. And this one, I'm just going to keep it really simple and just put a white piece inside. I could do a garden green layer like I did with the gatefold card, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep it simple. That one's ready to go. Again, we may come back and do some embellishments, but there's that one. And here's number 3. This is the one with the square, the 3x3 square of DSP that I cut in half. And remember, I talked about the orientation being important because I knew I wanted it in these corners. If I had cut it the other way, I would have had to go this way, which would be fine, but I wanted to go this way. So I'm going to glue these down. You could make mats for these. I am just going to do it straight on there. Again, I'm eyeballing to get the same margin on each side. There we go. And then I cut a few, come here, layers from the Countryside Inn dies. I'm going to layer those up. Come here. And I think I am going to glue that flat. I thought about popping it up with dimensionals, but I'm going to layer that flat. And then I have, my paper's just a little bit sticky. I cut this Feel Better Soon. and I cut it with adhesive sheet on the back of the fresh freesia layer. So I'm going to peel that off. And I thought about putting adhesive sheet on the back of the Night of Navy one, but I'm still, as we're working here, trying to figure out if I want to pop it up on dimensionals or put it flat. So I didn't put adhesive sheet on the back. It's not hard, it's a lot thicker. It's easier to put glue on. And I can see this is old adhesive sheet that had the cracks on the adhesive side instead of on the liner side. I'm glad they figured that out. Hopefully they keep it that way. There we go. Now, if you know that you want to pop it up, you can always put foam adhesive sheet on the back, but again, it's got enough wide spaces that I find it pretty easy to decide on the fly and use mini dimensionals with no problem on it. So I don't worry about choosing in advance on these. So the one spot up here, I just cut a narrow strip. We'll put it on that one. And I think we're good. I think it will stay just fine. Bring this back in front and center. I'm so fast. What am I fast on, Michelle? There we go. There's that one. That's number 3. Now, number 4 is this remaining strip. And this is where I didn't get my prep done in advance to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with it. So now I won't be so fast. Oh, that's right. Now I remember what I was thinking. It's going to do this. Now, if you're working on letter size paper, you're going to cut this to 5.5 inches, which is going to give you more of a little waist piece at the end. Because I'm working in A4 paper, I'm cutting it to 14.9. That just leaves a little sliver there, but it works for both of them, which is all we need. Just debating if I'm going to put a layer underneath there, and I think I am. Let me go try to find a piece of, am I or not? I think we'll wait and see. So I think I'm going to use Biggest Wish. I'm going to take off the block Happy and bring in the script Happy. And I think I'm going to draw a pencil line. Where was it there? Just a really light pencil line here. So now you get to see some of the process, more of the process. And I should probably bring in my foam mat. There we go. Not perfectly aligned, but close enough. And now I'm going to bring in my birthday. I think I'm going to do another line. I love my T-square ruler because I can hook it right on the end and I know that that is straight. Oh, Michelle, I'm seeing your comment here. Putting cards together, 3 cards in 24 minutes, is there a fourth? Yes. Now, you can see I slowed down a lot once I got to having to stop and think about what I was doing, as opposed to the first 3 cards where I had already done the thinking. So, and this one I actually kind of knew what I was doing. I just hadn't done a lot of it. And I had done the sentiments on the first ones already. So I did take, it took me about 40 minutes or so to do the prep for the live. So, but that's one of the things that I like about the One Sheet Wonders is that, you know, part of it is already figured for you. You cutting the paper, it's all figured for you. Okay, I'm gonna get that to lie flat. I'm going to bring in my very good, it's old, but it's a very good quality eraser. Do not use the old dried up rubber mess on the back of the pencil. Use a good quality eraser to get rid of that line. And let it dry a little bit more so it doesn't smear, apparently. So I'm going to leave that sit for a minute while I figure this out. And I think I am going to bring in some green. Okay, I already know that that is a 1-inch strip. So I'm going to, and I know that I want it to be 14.9. Oh, come here. So that's 14.9. It's a 1-inch strip, so I'm going to go to 1 1/4. There we go. Just confirm I like how that looks. Yep. Put this on. I remember I have to cut off that end. There we go. We'll erase that line now. And there we go. That is 4 cards. Now, I have not done any embellishments. I could bring them in and start thinking about what I might want to do there. If you have suggestions, I'm all ears. Or eyes, actually, since it's by the comments here. It's interesting because now I look at them on camera. They look different on camera than they do in person. That's kind of like looking at a catalog in person versus... let me pull some things in here. These are the iridescent rhinestones. One there, and a medium, and a small. How about that? So these are technically retired. These are the adhesive back Milky Dots that were part of the Regent Park suite in the January to April mini, but I think they will be nice bracketing that. Or it will just highlight how not straight I got that sentiment. Anyhow. think that might be that. Technically, those are petal pink, but so are some things in here. But I think they work. And then what about this one? That one may just stay plain. Okay, well, there we go. Yes, 40 minutes assembly time. Again, with some pre-planning. So 4 cards in what? An hour and basically an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes. So on my blog, my next blog post will be published later today, tomorrow morning, and that will have the cutting guide for the 6x6 DSP, and I will probably post a couple of pictures of samples that other demonstrators that were part of the presentation on the demonstrator planning place put up to give you some ideas. I am not going to put measurements for all the layers because that's the creative part for you to figure out. But the cutting guide for the 6x6 is the key point. From there, you just build layers however you want them. So thank you for joining me today. Remember, the Designer Series paper sale runs through Thursday night through the end of June. And you save 15% on selected papers, including this mega pack and the earthen textures, or what, earthen elements Designer Series paper, which has all kinds of much more interesting things even than this, although this is pretty cool. And there's also that great joining special right now. If you would like to be part of my team, you get an extra chunk of free items in your starter kit. There is no obligation to buy anything else or to sell to anybody else, but you do get to save 20% on all of your orders from as long as you are an active demonstrator, and I would be happy to give you all of those details. Nancy@nancysniftynotes.com is my email, and nancysniftynotes.com is my website. So thank you for joining me today. I will see you again, same time, same place next week. Talk to you later. Bye.